A different way. There's a fantastic tool called NotebookLM, which is Google's own, it's kind of run off Gemini. So, and it's got a lovely little tagline, understand anything. Okay, so your research and thinking partner grounded in the information you trust, built with the latest Gemini models. Okay, so I basically opened up a new project, and this is free again. And so this was another iteration. So we just, one I prepared earlier. So another iteration of the podcast idea that Claude came up with. So this is basically called Last Train to the Ground. And I took Claude's prompt and I basically uploaded it to NotebookLM. Okay. And just basically said what I wanted to do. I wanted to crunch what it's telling me about the audience, and then maybe kind of throw in some ideas around it as well. Okay. And basically say, oh, I think this is weak, or I think this is good. Again, just leveraging another AI model to kind of get another viewpoint on this. Okay. And I've pressed audio overview. And so what it does is create a conversation between two very human sounding robots that would allow me to kind of hear my podcast idea teased out. Okay. So I'll just play a minute or two and we'll see what I came up with.
Maybe have you ever like tried to plan a massive trip around a major sporting event?
Oh man, yeah.
Picture this, you decide this is the year you're finally going to a Champions League match in Italy. Or maybe you and your friends have spent months talking about going to a Formula One race.
Right. The WhatsApp group is just firing off.
Exactly. Everyone is super hyped. And then suddenly the adrenaline wears off and you realize you have absolutely no idea how to do it properly.
Well, the stakes there are just incredibly high. It is it's a totally different psychological state than booking a standard weekend getaway.
Right.
Or, a beach holiday. You aren't just booking a flight. You're trying to orchestrate this highly complex sequence of events around a rigid, totally non-negotiable time frame.
It's terrifying. I mean, planning these trips usually feels like trying to get a PhD in logistics just to watch a 90-minute game.
That's a great way to put it.
You're flying blind. Right.
Yeah.
And it's terrifying because you're spending thousands of dollars on this one hyper-specific weekend.
And if you mess up the transport, you miss the entire event.
Exactly.
So that exact feeling you just described, the overwhelming logistical nightmare and the deep anxiety of getting it wrong, that is the foundation for the strategy we are unpacking today.
Welcome to the deep dive.
Yeah.
Today, we're tearing apart this fascinating strategic development document for a proposed show. It's called Last Train to the Ground.
It really is a masterclass in media strategy.
It is. Our mission for this deep dive is to deconstruct this blueprint and uncover how, identifying a completely uncontested niche can create a powerhouse brand.
Yeah. If you love those aha moments in understanding consumer behavior and business strategy, this is going to be incredibly satisfying.
So let's start with the most jarring rule in this entire document. To solve this logistical headache for fans, the creators state you have to fundamentally redefine what kind of content you're actually making.
Right.
The first directive is literally, and I quote, kill the idea that this is a sports show.
Which is wild, right? But that...
So I'm going to stop it there. So that's essentially, I took what Claude came up with, which had a lot of the consumer insights baked in, gave it to NotebookLM to crunch, and within 3 to 4 minutes, it gives me back a 25-minute conversation between two people who are genuinely, very valuably teasing it out and asking some of the questions. They're sort of breaking it down through conversation, kind of what the show is going to be about, the problem it's going to solve, ask a couple of testing questions about, where might it fall down? Is there a way we can kind of build on that? And personally, I find, as an audio guy, I'm an auditory learner as well, and I could read Claude's thing over and over again, or I could read all this analysis and I'd have to read it 20 times, but I can listen to that and it just sinks in better, okay? So, it's something I find, some of this AI stuff, particularly if you're not used to it, it's crunching millions of pieces of data and bringing it back to you in a much more synopsized format, but it can still be a bit overwhelming. So what I would suggest is if you are sort of plotting out your own process and trying to analyze how we're going to build your best idea and to tweak it, or if you want to feed in details about your existing show and, have that teased out and delivered through something like that, use NotebookLM. in order to, it sinks in so much better, and it's a more interesting way of doing it for a lot of us. But again, some of us love the spreadsheets and the data as well. Okay. So that's NotebookLM on that one. And so, so just to wrap this part up, and I'll take any questions now in a moment, or I'd be interested in your thoughts on this and if you think it could work for you. Just to wrap up, so using some of these AI platforms, we can back up our ideas with vast amounts of audience data, which means we can kind of, it validates the idea and helps us make the case to our leadership, manager, whoever's paying for the thing, okay? Because you can go back and go, the audience is this size, the market value is this size, it's going up 3% every year. It will attract premium sponsorship opportunities. This is the, we're the creators, so we can speak in the language that our audience is going to understand, but we need to speak a different language for, different types of people who need to buy into the idea as well. And I think these tools give us the ability to do that if they don't come naturally to you, like as they wouldn't with me. Stress test our ideas and open up opportunities to make a better show. You thought this was your idea, but you know what? We'll add a couple of things, tweak it slightly, and we've actually got a better thing going on here, backed by data. Identify the size of the market and the opportunity, and develop a marketing strategy based on audience behavior and platform knowledge. And again, Sean, you mentioned this one, like, you're great at making the show. It's won multiple awards, but you don't feel confident when it comes to marketing it and what to chop out of it and where to put it. Okay. And again, as we saw with Claude, if you feed it the right information and the right prompt, it will give you a very, very clear strategy around that, which you can take or leave. But the key thing is we are saving time and money on all of those above steps, because that's a massive team of people who you would have to gather and hire and work with up to a few years ago. Now, all of that expertise is baked into these models. If we understand the models and how to ask them to do stuff for us, then they can really deliver. And we've done all this by ourselves, yet with a sort of a virtual team, if that makes sense. Okay. So that's phase one of the session. This final part of the session will be a lot more sort of rapid fire, just showing you some different platforms that you might find useful for enhancing audio, for creating video, for creating audiograms, whatever it might be. Some of the tools you may have worked with, some you may not. And if you have worked with them and want to kind of add in your tuppence worth about features or things that we should be sort of aware of, then please do. Okay. So let us get going here again. I think we're still recording. We are. That's fine. Okay. Okay, so recording and editing and some of the tools that, and again, this is not me having been really academic and gone out and sort of, found just out of interest and academic exploration, found what AI tools are out there. Basically, I've had to find the tools so that I could actually do the work that I'm being expected to do by clients and various other people. So I've used a lot of different AI platforms, and what I'm hoping is that I've kissed many of the frogs so that you don't have to, because a lot of the stuff, a lot of these features are carried out by a lot of different platforms, and some of them are appalling, some of them are okay, and some of them are really good. So I'd like to think I'm going to give you the kind of what I think has been the really good one in terms of my own experience. So, okay, now this isn't a AI process per se, but this platform has tons of really good AI stuff in here. So it essentially qualifies. But has anyone used, so if anyone, and I've got a little poll here, if you're doing a remote interview with a guest, what platform do you tend to use? Just shout out. Do you use Zoom, Teams, Zencaster? What do you use?
Zoom.
Yeah, Zoom, I suppose, because it's usually what the person has at the other end.
Yeah.
Clean feed.
Clean feed. Yeah, very good. Clean feed. Am I right? It's just audio at this stage?
Yeah. Just audio. That's all I want.
Yeah, that's all you want. Well, listen, Ed, that might have to change. I'm telling you. I'll show you a couple of stats in a minute. So Zoom, essentially, do we find it good? Do we any downsides to Zoom?
Well, I think it's dependent on like I have a particularly weird broadband setup at the moment because I'm outside in a separate a
Yeah.
separate building. So you've always got that. I don't know if Zoom is as forgiving as
Yeah.
some of the others are.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
It's utterly determined on connectivity. Like most of the platforms we're used to remote, like Microsoft Teams and stuff like that. If your connection or if the person's connection isn't good, we hear it. You
Yeah.
hear the dip in audio, so you either have to cut it out or just hope people kind of just don't
Forgive.
mind it too much.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show you a platform now called Riverside, which I hope that you will swear you will never touch Zoom again and you will only use Riverside, because it is absolutely game-changing when it comes to remote interviews. Okay, it looks very similar to Zoom. So can you see Riverside and my face on that screen? Everyone saying, yeah, okay. So Riverside basically is a platform just like Zoom, except it's optimized to work with for audio quality. The key difference between Zoom and Riverside is how the audio is recorded. With Zoom, I'm chatting away to you, Ed, and our voices are traveling over to America and going into some sort of data center there, being captured there. So as it runs across the internet, it's kind of liable to all those dips and connectivity issues. It's being captured over there, and then it's being processed down before it's given back to us. Okay, so you can hear that sort of, that traditional Zoom sound. It's better now, but it's slightly tinny. It's not too foot or warm. It's just got a little thing. Now, it's the audio nerds among us might pick up on it. Maybe people don't. It's not that big a deal, but it just means you're giving a lot of control over to the internet and to Zoom itself. What Riverside does is it basically records everyone locally, okay, on their own device, and then the host gets sent that audio. So instead of it traveling over the internet, it's actually just we'll press record, and Ed, your device turns into the recording device. So your voice is being captured in your laptop and sent to me in real time. So it's local audio. Doesn't matter if you have the worst reception and Wi-Fi in the world, it is going to sound crisp and clear, because it's just like you literally opened up your Zoom H1 and just started recording in. It's just direct, okay? Makes an absolutely massive difference to predictability. So I've recorded a ton of interviews, either myself or facilitated them for clients, and it's actually almost hard to hear what people are saying. But then when I open up what has been recorded, it is perfect, because it was recorded locally, had nothing to do with the internet, only being sent to me. So it looks just like this. So you kind of come into a waiting room and you tell it what mic you want to use, what camera, all that kind of stuff, and you join the studio. And I will have sent you a link, Ed or Sean, and you'll have joined the studio. We'll have joined the studio from there. You just click on it like you would Zoom, and you'll appear alongside me here. And everything else is just very similar. You just we can go live. It gives you a little countdown. And so now we are in recording mode. And you can see just on the right-hand side, do you see there's a percentage underneath my thing? So I'll have every guest. So there'll be Patrick, Sean, Paula, and the percentage means the amount of audio that has been taken from your device and given to me as the host. So again, captured on your laptop, sent to me in real time, okay? So that we have it perfect, okay? And then you simply just stop. So again, nothing revolutionary about the user experience, but I guarantee you there's a revolution around the audio experience if you're not used to it, okay?
I used it a lot, Patrick, but I had one or two issues when it didn't download or something. But the fact was it downloaded the audio on the other person's computer, so
exactly.
it wasn't lost. So I might go back to it again, actually.
The key thing is the one disadvantage, if you or they have a bad Wi-Fi connection or really bad upload speeds, then you are going to find, then that's where the issue comes in. Because so one key piece of advice, if you're recording with somebody and you end the recording, do not let them leave the call until you see that number at 100%.
Yeah.
You want to have all their audio there.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have waited an hour to get audio because the upload speed on their side was so bad. But as you say, if anything goes wrong, it's still on their laptop. It's still on their device. So you will never lose the audio. It's actually bulletproof, okay, this system. The other thing it does is it records each person on their own track. Actually, sorry, so you'll end up with their voice on one file and your voice on the other. So you have all that control around unwanted noise and heavy breathing and connectivity and all that kind of stuff. Can I ask, of everyone who uses Zoom, do you record on one track, as in the file you get is the 2 voices or 3 voices baked together, or do you record on individual tracks?
I'd go with individual tracks because, again, you're at the mercy of room noises, that kind of thing. So it's great because you can drop it into your DAW or whatever and go in and say, just keep it.
Yeah. Anyone else recording on one track, or are you all using 2? Okay, if you're using one, you just simply go into, there's a settings area where you can literally click a box that says record each participant on their own individual file. So that way, when you get the recording from Zoom, it's going to have your voice individually and your guest's voice individually, and whether that's 2 or 3 or 4 files. And then you can, in Adobe Audacity or whatever, Adobe Audition or Audacity, you can make sure you get unwanted noise, coughs, all that kind of stuff out. You have full control over the actual, you have full control over the audio. Okay, so that's a small thing. So trial Riverside. You would get a lot of time and functionality out of the free version. Again, I'm not showing you anything that has all these like hundreds of euros spent. You can, of course, go pro. But then from the AI perspective, what it does is once you've finished your recording, so let's just go into the Mario Rosenstock podcast here. So I'll do a lot of remote recording with Mario. So we have Ruth Ann. Let's just jump into Dave Hannigan. So this was a recent enough. So what it does is I'll open up the project and I'll have my recordings. So basically, it doesn't have to be video, but like it records video in the same way as the audio. It's local and it's in good shape. Okay. So I'll be able to just download the original files. Okay. So I have my raw audio, my raw video, or I can have a compressed version. But then if we go into Made for You, this is where the AI has basically, you don't have to do anything. It just listens to and watches the full interview, and then it decides what clips you might want to use for social, and it makes it really easy for you to just download them, package them up, edit them. So they call them magic clips, and it's just the AI generated clips of the actual recording, and it auto captions them. So we can see, yeah, of course, AI knows Roy Keane is a big deal. So it's just going to, now this might be slow because the processing power is kind of, can be hard, but basically it'll create these little kind of short clips of various lengths. And
I think Roy Keane does too. And nothing wrong with that, by the way. I'm just saying.
Anyway, it's a little bit.
I think contrary to his public persona for the first half of his career, or certainly for his playing career, I think he really enjoyed.
So I'll stop it there because the processor is a little thing, but it'll brand it for you. You can go open up and edit it. It will give you sort of, auto transcription. So you'll have all the subtitles there. You won't have to do it yourself. It gives you these magic segments, which are longer clips. Okay, so these will be for a different platform. So these are like 3 minutes, 4 minutes. So this is where it doesn't just take a clip of the Roy Keane bit. It'll give you the chunk of the Roy Keane bit in case you want slightly longer form content. Little hooks. So these are like just 17 seconds, 30 seconds. It gives you the social or your show notes. So basically it can give you like blog posts. It can give you Instagram captions. So it's done all this automatically without you even having to ask. Snapshots. So you can see me, yeah. It'll take kind of, it'll understand if there's like a reaction or something like that, and it'll kind of create little snapshots. So you can just download that and use it as an image. So it's giving you all this stuff. And you also have Co-Creator here. If anyone uses Canva or any of those things where it's now, all of them are building in this functionality around, let's just have a conversation. You can ask me to create something else. You can ask me to change this or that. So it's becoming so seamless and so fast, okay? So basically that is Riverside. So you have, number one, fantastic remote recording facilities. It's going to make your audio so much better. But then it's going to give you all of these extra little assets for no time or effort involved on your part. Okay, so this can really change things up in terms of how much you can create with the time that you actually have. Okay, cost nothing on the free version naturally, and the basic version, but then you can pay for extra little additional features and all that kind of stuff.